Hi everyone, this is Ronnie with Ronnie K, and you are watching video number 2 in how to assemble your bold board graduation topper using heat transfer glitter vinyl and rhinestones. The first thing we have to do is cut our pattern. I'm using the same design that we created in the first video for this demonstration. The very first thing you're going to do is take your base layer, your very first background color, and cut around the dot in the center. There's a gap, and you're going to cut completely around using some teeny tiny sharp scissors. I use little Fiskars that have sharp ends. Once you do that, you're going to take that little dot and set it aside, and then place the square of glitter onto your bold board topper, making sure that you have it perfectly centered. There's no white showing around the center circle, the center hole, and that all of your edges are lined up. Then you will place that on your heat press and press it for about 10 seconds. That's all it's going to. I use the heat settings that are recommended by the manufacturer of my glitter vinyl, and I press for about 10 seconds, which is a little bit less than is recommended, but it's plenty to get that first layer set and stuck to the topper. Then you just peel it off and we go on to the next step. Next, you're going to take your second layer and do the same exact thing with the center circle piece. You're going to cut around whatever that part of the design it goes onto the center dot. Hang on to it and put it in a place where it's safe. They fall on the ground a lot. Happens all the time. Then you're going to do the same thing and align it perfectly, making sure you don't have any gaps on the side. Your center hole is lined up, and press it again for 10 to 15 seconds this time, just to make sure it's completely adhered. When you press the border edges, sometimes they don't lay completely down on the edges, so I use this tool. It's a little hand iron, and I will link it in the comments. It's from Amazon. It works perfectly to heat the edges. One little pro tip: only heat it to medium, never go higher. It will melt the glitter and it will melt the backing plastic. So heat this little guy on medium and then just run it along your edges. Sometimes I do it before I lift my backing sheet, and sometimes I do it as in this video where I pull it off and heat it later. It just makes the edges lay down smooth. Next, if you decide that you want to put a glitter backing on the back of your topper just to finish it off and not have a white background on the back, that is what this next step is. There's a template in your files. The center dot, you're going to peel that off, hang on to it, put it with your other center pieces. That's going to go on the back of your center dot, and then just press that one down just like you did the other ones. It is in the template files, it is slightly larger. That is for a reason. It is going to shrink, and when it shrinks after it's pressed, it's going to shrink down and fit perfectly. sometimes the topper will bend. The manufacturer is aware, they have instructions, and what they say is to set something heavy on top of it to lay it flat. Takes just a few seconds. I just used a yearbook of my daughter's to lay it down and get it to lay flat. A lot of times if you have a granite countertop and they're cool, you can lay it right down and it'll completely flatten out when it cools. So that's what we're doing here. And then we'll move on to the next step of working on that center dot. For the center dot, I again use my little hand tool, my hand iron, and you're going to take the background, just like you did with the topper, the background color, lay it down, and then do the same thing for the back of the dot. So in this case, they're both royal blue. Sometimes they're different colors, but it's the same process for both sides. Then you move on to your next layer and center it and do the same thing. You can use your heat press to do this. I just find it easier to use a small hand tool so I can be more precise with the placement. But the heat press you can use it afterwards just to get a good set. I've never had any glitter lift on these toppers, so I don't really worry about making sure it adheres. They're not going to be laundered. They're not going to be in any situation where they would have, an episode of lifting. And that's it. You can see that the center dot fits perfectly and lines up perfectly with the entire design so that when you apply it to your cap, it looks seamless. Now let's talk about attaching your topper to your graduation cap. With your kit, you will get 6 hook dots and 6 loop dots. The loop dots are the white fuzzy ones. We're going to start with those. I want you to put one on the back of your center dot and then take the other 4 and put them in each corner of your topper on the back. After that, you're going to take the hook dots and put them upside down with the sticky side up onto your loop dots. Now take your grad cap and put one more hook dot on the center button. Make sure you check the inside of the cap to find the top and find the top of your design on your topper and set it down centered on the top of that cap and mash down each corner so that those hook dots adhere to the topper. Adhere to the cap. And then set your center dot on to the hook dots in the middle, and it should all line up, and that is it. Your cap is attached, and you're ready to go. This last little snippet is of me starting to rhinestone this piece. I use E6000 glue and a 3/10 cc application syringe with a blunt tip. I've been doing it this way for 12 years, so these tools are my go-to. I will usually lay a line where I can place 20 to 30 stones. That way the glue doesn't get dried up and I have plenty of time to set them down. In these grad cap applications, I typically don't let the stones touch. I leave a little gap because it's more cost effective for the customer. I charge per stone. I use Preciosa stones. They are not cheap, and so this just gives them the look of something that is more heavy in stones, but not they don't have to suffer the cost. I will also add that glass stones are heavy. So if you solid fill a grad cap topper with glass stones, you're going to need extra Velcro dots to adhere it. You might even consider gluing it down, and you will need to tell the person wearing the cap that they're going to have to pin it. Both of my daughter's caps were solid fills, and her high school graduation cap had to be pinned, and it almost fell off as she was walking across the stage because it is very heavy. So just keep that in mind when you're deciding how many rhinestones to put on this topper. Weight is an issue. Once I get that straight line of stones laid, then I use my Rhinestone Stick. Love this little wooden stick, and it helps me to make sure those stones are in a perfectly straight line. I've got plenty of time with the E6000 to move them around, and I get them all in place, and then I'm ready to go and move on to the next section. Thank you all for watching this brief little video showing how to assemble your bold board topper. I'm always open to questions. You can text me, you can Facebook message me, you can call me on the phone. I'm always happy to help, and I cannot wait to see what you all can create. Thanks a bunch, y'all.